So welcome everyone. Welcome to our programming interview prep workshop. My name is Mihir Thakkar and I'm the founder and instructor at Code Heroku. And today we are gonna go over some common interview questions that you might encounter in your if you are giving a if you are a fresher and you want to get into IT industry or a software engineering role. What are the kind of questions that you might see? And we had also done an initial a warm-up exercise for you guys, and I hope those of you who are online with us today, you were able to complete that. So let me just show you some quick results from that exercise that we did. So these are some results from the exercise that I had given out. Now the average is around 7 on 10 points, which is not that bad. But there were some people who were not able to get past 2, 3, or 4 points as well. So I hope after practicing a little bit, you guys who haven't been able to do well on this exercise are able to improve your scores going ahead. And I also wanted to go over some logistics for today's workshop in terms of, so this workshop is being recorded, and everyone who has registered for this course, they are gonna get the recordings for this workshop in an email after we are done. The next thing that I want to point out is a few things on what this workshop is and what it isn't. Right, I don't want this to be just a one-way traffic. So please go ahead and answer, put your comments in the chat box that you would have on the Zoom there, and let me know if there are anything that if I'm not able to cover, or you are getting confused. Please make sure that you are asking questions, because that's the whole point in organizing live workshops. Otherwise, you could have seen this workshop recorded as well, but because you are over here live in with me, please take please take full advantage of this opportunity and ask any questions that you might have on the chat window there. Okay. And besides that, I also want to make sure that what this workshop is and what this workshop isn't. So in this workshop, I'm not going to go over a whole lot of concepts and theory, and I'm not going to tell you what data structures are. I'm assuming that a lot of you are from computer engineering or computer science background, and you have taken those classes in your engineering school. So I won't be going too much into detail on what these data structures are, and what is a binary search. I won't be doing those things, but I would think of this as more of as a revision exercise, or something where we are coming together and practicing together. So it's it's more on those lines. I have a chat from Raghu, who is not able to get his audio there. So let me just quickly reply to him over there and say, please click on join via device audio. So he won't be able to hear me. That's why I have to type for him there. But anyways, so let's get started. And again, as I said, if you have any questions, please make sure that you are now putting that in the chat box over there. This is not something where we are going to go in depth into each programming concept, or inside of the aptitude formulas, but it's more of a we all coming together, practicing some problems, and think of it as a group study session rather than me trying to teach you something. Okay. All right, so let's get started. This was the grades from yesterday for those who are joining late right now. This is the results from the warm-up exercise that we did. Most of you had got, you have gotten good scores. The median is about 7 on 10 points, which is good. But some of you were not able to do good on this exercise, so I'm hoping that after practicing a while over here, you get better at it. Okay, so let me give you an uh, high level overview, or a 6,000 feet overview on what a programming interview, or what the journey looks like. So, at to start with, most companies will have a section for quantitative or logical reasoning, and this is the first round that you're gonna take, either on your campus, or even if you are going and attending any interviews, applying online, and going directly to the campus uh, of the company. You will be going through a quantitative and logical reasoning section, right? So this is your high school and your 12th grade math, everything that you have learned about, right from prime numbers through natural numbers, geometry, basic geometry, linear algebra, profit and loss, probability, and whatnot, right? Everything on those lines. So, and also there's some sections on, some companies also have logical reasoning sections in there, which is slightly different, but still, it's almost like, if A is equal to B, B is equal to C, A is equal to C. So, are you capable of doing those kind of analogies, right? So once the companies are, once you pass through this quantitative and logical reasoning section, the companies are going to test you on some basic programming concepts, right? And these are theory concepts that you have studied uh, in your undergrad class. And the difficult thing about these questions is, you can't really answer them unless you have studied them, right? Because it's not like logic where you can make up something during the interview, or it's not your smartness or your grit is not going to help you there, right? You can't just wing it over there. You need to be prepared with these concepts. So, no, if I get a chance after this workshop, I'll create a list of maybe 50 or 100 questions that you ought to study before going into a programming interview. So these are questions like, what's a garbage collector in Java? Or as I had another question on multiple inheritance in Java on the warm up exercise, right? So if you don't know the answers to them, you don't know it, right? There is it's binary. It's you don't have much choice there. So you need to study those things, and you need to be prepared for those, right? So once you pass those things, the companies are also going to test you on the applications of these programming concepts as well. So okay, what a garbage collector is, but can you apply it, and can you write a simple code up for it? Or if you are doing some, if I have shown you what the binary search is, now can you solve a programming puzzle which has a binary search embedded in it, right? So it is using concepts from binary search, but no, it's not very obvious. So can you recognize those patterns and solve those coding puzzles as well using the concepts that you know? Once you have that platform there, some companies also want to make sure that you can eventually write code, right? So a lot of companies, it's not true for, again, everything that I'm going to say in today's workshop, it is highly specific, and this is very broad. Now some companies might not ask you to write a code, and some companies will have the whiteboarding sessions in there. But if you want to get into good companies like Amazon, or Microsoft, or Adobe, or SAP, they are going to ask you to write some code at least. uh, Most of the times it is not on a computer. It's more of like in person on a piece of paper or on a whiteboard. So that's another challenging part. So that's what I tell a lot of our students as well, is when you're going to a programming interview, for practicing it as well, you need to practice it on paper, not on your computers. Or no, you shouldn't be using a text editor to help you, because eventually if you are going to write that code on a piece of paper in front of the interviewer, it's going to be difficult for you to get all the syntax right. And another commonly asked question on this one is, what programming language should I write my code on? So it's generally advised that you see what technologies are most widely used in that particular company, and pick that one if you are familiar with it. If you're not familiar with it, stick with your something which you are really good at. Most interviewers won't have any problem if you're using anywhere something like C, Java, or even Python these days. They won't mind doing that, right? So once they know that you are good at programming concepts and you can write code, the last thing that they want to test you on is, do you fit in their culture, right? So here the behavioral questions come in, and we are going to go over some behavioral questions tomorrow. And there could be some questions about the projects that you are working on, or some things related to your final year projects and along those lines, right? So uh, this is a very high level overview of what kind of questions that you should expect in a programming or software engineering role interview, and through the entire process as well. And today really we are going to focus on the first two basic foundations over there, which is we'll solve some quantitative logical reasoning questions, and we'll do some programming concepts as well. And again, don't think of this as me trying to teach you something. This is gonna be more of a group study session that we are gonna do it together. We'll solve it. You're gonna make sure you have a piece of paper and pencil or pen with you for the quant section, because we're gonna we will be hands on. We'll try to solve some problems, and then I'll show you what the right answer to that is, or how I went about solving it. Okay, so let's get into it. uh, a quick quiz just to make sure that you guys are not sleeping, you guys are hearing me well, and you all are there. Please answer this simple quiz on the chat box. uh, put it on the chat box and let me know what you think about this question that I have over there. So most of you are saying it true. I'm not sure if it is because everyone else is saying that, and if someone has a different opinion, let me know. Does everyone think that it's true, or does someone else think that no, that's not true? Gotham says it also depends on your ability to communicate. So here's my take on it, right? I don't think this is true. I think the coding puzzles is just one aspect to it, as we see over here, right? Many companies might not even have that round where they are challenging with you, some asking you to do some coding puzzles. It could be that I mean, I've heard that. I'm not sure because I haven't taken the rounds for TCS or Infosys on these kind of companies, but uh, I know that these companies primarily screen on basis of just the quantitative logical reasoning skills, and they directly go for the behavioral interview as well, right? So there are some companies who stress too much on the coding puzzles piece of it, and some companies might not. So And that's why I'm saying that no, it's, in my opinion, it's not true. But if you have seen that no, most companies have programming puzzles, let me know. I don't think so that's true for all companies, right? So that gives me a sense that everyone is with me. No, you guys are listening to me, so that's good. So let's do some aptitude questions. We'll start off with simple questions. So if you think that it's really simple, don't worry. Or if you think it's I don't think you're gonna feel that it's difficult. I want to keep it a little bit simple so that no, you guys get in a pace, right? And no, we'll go on increasing the level of difficulty today as well as in tomorrow's section a session, right? So, but I didn't want to start off with something which was very difficult. Right. So let's get started. Here's the first question. What is 60% of 80? Solve it on your, paper. Have pen and paper with you. Solve it. Put your answers in the chat, and then I'll wait like 1 minute or so for everyone to complete it, and then go on. Don't use your calculators because most times you won't have it. Don't look at other answers as well, because the whole point is to make sure that you are doing it yourself, right? So make sure that you first do it yourself, then come over here, and if you see that most people have answered the same thing, it's gonna be the right answer, right? Okay, waiting 30 seconds more. So we'll do some, initially we'll go a little fast, and because these are simple questions. Right, so most of you got it right. It is whenever you have a percent, it means that in fraction terms, it's on 100. So 60 on 100, multiply that by 80. Take those two zeros off from there, and eventually you will end up with 8 times 6 is 48, right? So pretty simple, going good. Let's do the next one. The price of an item dropped from 15 to 12. What was the percentage change? Or no, what by what percent did the price change? So I'm getting a few different answers on this one. There is some 15, some 20, some 30s. So I'll wait another minute. So for those who are getting it fast and right, so that's good. If you're getting it wrong, don't give fast wrong answers as well. So make sure that you're doing it properly on paper and then give your answer. All right, waiting 30 seconds more. All right, so Let me show you. Pretty straightforward. We know that the price changed from 15 to 12. So the change in price was 3 rupees, right? So if we have here's the formula for calculating the percentage change. It's the change upon original times 100, because we want in the percent terms, right? So you say 3 on 15 multiplied by 100, and that will give you 20%, right? So most of you got that right. And for those who were saying 15, make sure that no, you're getting your math right over there. Okay. Any questions on that one, or something is not clear? All right. So I don't hear anything, so I'm assuming that everyone is good. All right. So next one. So it's a quick tip, right? So a lot of times you're gonna encounter cases when you will have to convert ratios and fractions to percentages. So whenever we think in terms of percent, you are trying to get to a denominator which is 100, right? So in this case, let's say you come to an answer in your solution which is 11 by 48, and the answer which is expected, the four options which were given are in terms of percentages, right? So 11 by 48 is how much percent? Can you do it like within 1 second, like just by uh, no viewing it without doing it on like the extensive calculation on paper? Can you come up with what's the answer over here? So 11 by 48 is how much percent, just by looking at the options and the number over there. So some of you got it right. So here's how you would do it, just by looking at it. We know that 11 by 48, we are trying to get to a denominator which is 100, right? So what should we multiply 48 with to get to a number which is close to 100, right? So you will multiply that by 2, right? And because we want to reach 200, let's say that we note that as 2 plus, which is 2 point something, will get us 200, right? uh, 2 point something will get us 200, yeah. So if you multiply the denominator with 2 point something, you have to multiply the numerator with 2 point something as well, right? And the only option over there which is greater than 22 is 22.9. So it can't be 22% because we want a number which is slightly greater than that. So 22.9 is going to be the correct answer over here, right? So any questions on that one? It was a quick tip for you to just visually get to a, because in a lot of these exams, or a lot of the aptitude tests, you have the right answers. So one of the four answers is given there to you. So by process of elimination as well, you could reach to an answer faster, because your speed is going to be also a key aspect on how well you do on these exams, or know how if you're able to pass those tests. Because if you spend too much time just doing it on your paper, it might not work, right? So you got it right. Next one, let's do this. So Raghu thinks it's 82. What is everyone else getting? Ranit Kumar thinks it's 85. So is it something between 80 to 85, or is it 85, or is it 82? And how is everyone else doing? What are you guys thinking about? And guys, if you get stuck somewhere, also let me know in the chat in terms of, what are you trying to figure out. So I might be able to guide you when, along your thought process. And I think it's an important skill to have in your programming interview as well, in terms of being able to speak out loud and speak your mind to the interviewer, not specifically for the aptitude questions because there is no one in front of you over there, but specifically when you're doing those coding puzzles and some you're trying to write a code in front of someone. It's important to speak out what you are thinking rather than just sitting there and having them guess what you're trying to do. So you should speak up or know what's going on in your mind. All right, so some of you have answered it, a lot of you haven't. I'm gonna wait 30 seconds more so that uh, you guys get to complete this. If you want me to wait a little bit more, you could just write that in the chat as well if you want me to wait a few more seconds more. All right, so some of you have got it right, some of you haven't. So when someone says that the weight of the second exam is twice as having on the weight on the first exam, it is same as calculating the average of 75, 90, and 90, right? Because the second exam has twice more weight, you could think of it as a no, this is a weighted average problem, but you could make it as a simple average problem by just saying, thinking of it as it is 75, 90, 90, right? So this is same as calculating average of these three numbers. You multiply 75 by 1 because that's the weight for the first one, multiply the second one by 2 because that's the weight of the second one, and you divide it by the weight, the total sum of all the weights. Sum of all the weights is 2 plus 1, which is 3. So if you do the math on this one, you will end up with 85 as the answer over there. Okay. So that was the trick in terms of remembering. If you don't want to remember that, this is not a formula that you have to remember. It's just that think of it as uh, converting this weighted average question to simple average is just matter of saying, thinking of it as 75, 90, 90. So you add the first, all those together and divide that, you will get 85. Okay. Any questions on this one? All right. So I don't hear anything on the chat, so I'm assuming everything is good. All right. So let's do another averages. So we're getting answers in the range of 3000s and 4000s. And for the first time, I think we are having a lot of different answers as well. Only two answers are same, the rest all are different. So most of you are getting wrong therein. That means that most of you are wrong. So try it once again. All answers are different, which means most of you are wrong. So check the math that you are doing. Make sure you're not making any silly mistakes there. And as I said, one of my professors used to famously say, don't give fast, wrong answers. Still, we all haven't been able to. Yep, Naren, that's what it is. But still, we are getting 10 or 20 different answers, right? So it's it's the way you solve it, or no, the way you simplify it is the trick over there. All right, so I'll be showing the answer in 30-40 more seconds. So for those who want to check their answer once again, just make sure, because all of you have different answers there. Make sure that you check your answers. Otherwise, most of you are going to be wrong over there. All right, so I haven't seen anyone changing their answer. So everyone seems to be pretty confident on the math that they have done. All right, so let's see. what's the right way of, I mean, there could be several different ways to coming to the right answer. So I was going to say, what's the right way of solving it? There is no right or wrong way of solving anything. It's the if you get the final answer right, that's what matters, right? So here's how you do it. We know that average of A and B is 5050, right? So A plus B divided by 2 is 5050. uh, Take the 2 on the other side, so which will give you A plus B is 5050 times 2, which will be 10 100. So similarly you could do for B plus C and A plus C as well. So if you multiply all those numbers by 2, you would get these numbers. So we have three equations now. A plus B is something, B plus C is something, and A plus C is something. So note over here that we are trying to get to A, right? So my question to you is, so we need to do addition and subtraction of these equations, right? Uh, which equation should we add and which equation should we subtract? So what is the operation that we should perform on these equations to get to A? So think of it as equation 1, 2, and 3. What would you do to get to A? So will you add 1, 2, and 3 all together? That will give you A. Or will you add 1, subtract 2, and add 3? Will that give you A? Or will you do 1 minus 3 plus 2? How will you go about getting to A? So for those who are given the right answer, what did you guys do? Which equations did you add and which equations did you subtract? So Rakshita thinks equation 1 minus 2 plus 3. What has everyone else done? You need to subtract equation 2, right? Because in equation 1 and 3, we both have A over there. Both of them have A's in them, and we want to keep A. So we can't subtract those. So what we're going to do is we're going to subtract the second equation and add the third one, right? So all the B's and the C's will get uh, subtracted from each other. So if you just do 1 minus 2 plus 3, or equation 1 minus 2 plus 3, you just write them together in this form, you could see that it becomes really simple. All what you're going to get is A plus A, you'll get 2A, B's and C's will get cancelled out, and on the right you will get 2A is 8,000. If 2A is 8,000, A is 4,000, right? So for those who said 4,000, you got the right answer. For those who didn't, have a look at it and let's make sure that you understand it, and uh, let me know what mistake did you do uh, by when you came up through answers like those who have given. I think Soumya, Surly, Gautam, Raghu, all of you had different answers there. So make sure you understand it. And if there are any questions, please let me know. All right, so no questions. Let's go for the next question then. So again, a quick tip over here. Distance is speed into time. This is a common formula that you're going to use a lot of times on these tests. An easy way to remember, if you don't know it already, is to remember them as a pyramid. So distance on the top, speed and time on the bottom over here. So whenever someone says distance, just imagine this pyramid, and distance is speed times time, because these two are together over here. If someone says time is equal to, so time is going to be equal to distance divided by speed, right? Speed is equal to distance divided by time. So an easy way to remember it, that's how I remembered it. So in case, I just wanted to share it so that it helps you. If most of you would know this, but if you don't know it, here you go. Okay, so let's do a speed distance time. So everyone seems to be taking a good time on this one. And Raj Kishore has his first answer there, and followed by two, three, four more answers. And everyone seems to be agreeing that the answer is 40 miles per hour. Uh, I shouldn't have given that out. I guess I should have waited for everyone else. But anyways, let's wait for everyone else to come to this answer as well. All right, so most of you are getting there. I'm gonna wait another 20, 30 seconds more just to make sure we don't leave anyone behind. All right, so let's see how you would go about solving this. So we know that both of these trains are going in the same direction, right? And at one point, T2 is going to cross T1 because it's going faster than the first train, right? So this is how you would draw it out. Make sure you make it visual, right? Whenever you're doing the trains or aeroplanes or these kind of problems, you want to draw it out. Uh, Either the question is going to be that both of them are traveling the same direction, or the question is going to be that they are traveling in the opposite direction. In either cases, no, the thing that you match up is going to be different. So once you solve three or four of these similar problems, you will get a knack of it. So try out these problems because they are very common on these aptitude interviews. Make sure that no, you're not thinking a lot on the test itself. You have solved three or four times, so you know the trend and know the type of questions that are possible in the trains and the planes. So you would say distance is speed into time. So let's say d1, which is the distance which is traveled from, let me make sure I get the pointer over here. So the distance is gonna be, the time when they crosses, this is the distance over here. You say speed into time. We know that it left 2 hours late and it took another 4 hours to catch up. So we are saying that, let's say 4 plus 2, which is 6. 6s is going to be the d1. Let's say d2 is going to be 60 times 4, because we know that the speed is 60 miles an hour and it took 4 hours to catch up. So at the point where they cross, it's going to be, the distance traveled is going to be 60 times 4, which is 240 miles, right? uh, since d1 is d2, right, as you see in the diagram over here, both trains would have covered the same distance when they cross each other, right? So since d1 is equals to d2, you could say 6s is 240 or s is 40 miles per hour, right? So this is how you would go about reaching to this. um, I'm not sure if there is any other way of doing it, but if there is, let your friends know in the chat box as well, if you had another creative way of solving it. But for those who didn't answer over there, I want to make sure you get it right. Let me know if you have any questions. It's just more about practice. Once you start seeing all these problems, uh, you will become used to it. So it's going to take some practice. I think another good thing that you will you will be able to get out of this workshop is, you'll be able to see how quickly are you being able to do it along with 10 or 15 other people. So you will get a sense of how, at what amount of practice that you require. So let's say if you are not able to answer any of these questions, well, these are one of the simplest questions that you could have on the aptitude questionnaire. So please make sure you're practicing it properly. I don't want to discourage you, but it's a good eye opener for you if you're not able to answer them. If you're doing really good, if you're answering really fast, then you also know that you could focus on some other areas of programming, or solving some more programming questions, because you are good at these, right? So it gives you a sense of how you can do it, which is different than doing it alone at home by yourself, because you don't know how well you are compared to others, right? Profit and loss, few simple formulas over here. I'm not going to read them out a lot. I'm going to give you 2 seconds to just recollect whatever is there. You, most of you already know this. Just recollect it. We'll do another question after this on profit and loss. I'm going to wait over here for 10-20 seconds. So one thing to note over here is, whenever you're calculating profit percent or loss percent, one thing you always have to remember in your mind, those are always calculated on the cost price or the purchase price. It's never on selling price. Okay. So, and a question is, when are we going to start programming? We are going to start in next 10-15 minutes. It's not going to be that, no, we are not going to spend a lot of time on this, but even on the programming side of it, it's going to be more of, I'm not going to teach anything. It's going to be more of, group exercises. Okay. All right. So I have two answers over there, which is in the range of 49.25 percentage. So let me know what others are thinking about. Are you getting the same answer? So I have about 4 to 5 answers over there. I'm gonna wait another minute or so just to make sure that no, we are not leaving anyone behind. So if you guys are completing it fast, it's good for you. Have some water, take some break. I want to make sure that no, we are not leaving anyone behind over here. Okay. And guys, for those who are not answering it on the chat, I'm assuming that no, it's just taking you a little bit longer to solve these questions. It is fine. It's just make sure that no, you practice a lot and improve your speed as well, because you see some of your classmates are being able to answer these questions much quicker than you. Make sure you are practicing enough and get that speed up in being able to solve these questions quickly. Okay. Right, so let's do it. Uh, let me go through it for those who were not able to solve this. So we know that cost price of an article is 67% of the selling price. So convert everything in terms of S over there. So we know that it's 0.67 S. We know that profit is selling price minus cost price. So that comes to 0.33 S. And we just saw the formula for profit percent, which is the profit upon cost price times 100. So get both these, the s's cancelled off, and if you do that math, it will come around 49.25%. Okay. So hopefully you were able to get it. Most of you who had answered, they got the right answer. For those who did not answer, please make sure that you see the trend, or try to catch what we are trying to do in terms of the pattern that we are following over here. The pattern is to convert everything to a common term, so that that gets cancelled off, and then you multiply that by 100 to get in terms of percentage. Okay. All right, so let's do a last one, which is a permutation and combination problem. I believe this is the last one in this series. I think so. Yep. So this is the last one for the aptitude section on today. Let me know once you have the answer for this on the chat. So most of you have answered over there. I'm just gonna wait another 10 or 20 seconds more to make sure that we haven't left anyone behind over there. And so the permutation and combination types of problems are also one of those which you need to solve them before you go to these tests, because it's going to be difficult to find those patterns during the interview itself, or no, during the test itself. Make sure that you can get away with ratio and proportions, and maybe even profit and loss, and percentages. But permutations and combinations, probability, make sure that you practice these two sections enough, so that you, because more or less the questions are going to be on the same lines. So once you see those trends, you will know, oh, this is this type question. There won't be more than 5 or 6 more variations to the questions that they can have on uh, these types. Okay, so make sure you practice permutation and combination enough. So we know that there are 3 spots over there now, which they could arrange. On the first spot, let's say the mother comes in or the grandmother comes in, she can stand, or no, she can sit, and she could arrange herself on either one of these 3 spots. So for the first person, they have the three places that they could sit. For the second spot, there are two, and the last spot, there is only one person who could go over there, right? Whoever is remaining will have to go on that spot. So multiply all these three together will give you 6. So there are only 6 ways you could arrange, 3 people. So either you remember it using the formulas, or just think it logically or in your head, and that's how I would go about doing it. Okay. All right. So that brings us to the end of the first section, which was the aptitude. And again, for the programming concepts as well, we're not gonna go in depth on what a linked list is or what an array is. No, I'm assuming that you guys have studied those things. The whole point today is gonna be give you some brush up on those things, and also make sure that I tell you some of the common questions that are asked on the interviews, right? So we're gonna go into the programming concepts now. Uh, let's go ahead and do it. We'll have just one exercise that I want to do in the class, and then one you will be doing at home. I think we'll be able to finish it much quicker. I don't think we need another hour for this, but if we finish it quicker, that's good. I just wanted to make sure that we have enough time. That's why I had set up a 2-hour slot for our today's workshop. But if we are able to complete it faster, that's well and good. Okay. All right. So let's get started into this. So before I go inside data structures and algorithms, because those are the kinds of questions that you're going to ask, I wanted to make sure I give you a high level overview of how I think about computing in general as well. And this specific piece over here has been literally stolen from one of the instructors called Richard Buckland, and he's a very famous computer science instructor. You could look him up on YouTube. He's an Australian guy, excellent professor. If you get a chance to view his videos, those are mind blowing. So this is taken from there. So when you're talking about computing, so there is generally a problem space, right? The problem could be, come up with an app, or come up with a mobile application, or it could be a desktop application, build Facebook, build a ride sharing platform. So you have a problem which is a real world problem, right? And our job as a computer scientist or software engineer is to break this problem into an algorithm that you need to solve, right? So once you take this problem and convert that to an algorithm, so this algorithm could be something as a pseudocode that you think of, right? So you have your logic, you haven't written the code for it yet, but you know the algorithm, what's the logic which is going to go behind it. And again, this is going to be the similar workflow that you're going to apply to your programming interview questions as well, right? So someone has given you a problem to think about. They could say something like, oh, how will you build a search engine, right? So I had given an interview for Google, some time back, and the guy asked me, how will you build something like Google? So that's a real world problem, building a search engine. So how will you go about writing and formalizing that in terms of an algorithm, or the logic behind it? So you take the problem, you in your head you need to come up with an algorithm or a pseudo code. Once you know the logic which is going to go behind it, and within this algorithm the data structures are going to be part of it. So selecting the right data structure and the right algorithm is going to be piece of this first step. Taking that problem and selecting the right algorithm and the data structure is the first step. The next thing that you want to do is you take this algorithm and convert it to a program, right? A functional code which you will write either in C, Java, Python, or now pick the programming language of your choice. It doesn't matter, right? Most interviewers are going to be okay with no, if you say that no, I'm proficient with C, they should be fine. Or no, pick something like C++ or Java because it's an object oriented programming. So a lot of interviewers are going to like that. They're going to use C++, C sharp, or Java in their daily work as well. So they would prefer you writing it in those languages. So you take that algorithm, that logic, convert that to a program. So once you have this program, what you're going to do is now you run this program and it is essentially converted to a process. Now this process is in terms of the steps which are dynamically executing on the system itself, right? So the concepts which play over here are things like what happens when a function call is made. Uh, I hope that you guys are familiar with those things in terms of when I say something like, oh, what is a segmentation fault? So can someone tell me what a segmentation fault is, or when that occurs? So if you write a C program and someone says that if you get an error, your operating system runs an error and says segmentation fault, what's happening there? What why would a segmentation fault occur? Can someone tell me uh, what's the reason behind segmentation fault, or when would you see a segmentation fault? So these are the questions that you are gonna have in these in this stage of computing. Is what happens when a program is actually running. So Naren thinks due to a wrong memory location. You kind of got it near, but you're still not right over there. You're close, but not correct. So Raghu says data stored in a different block of memory. Mm, I'm not really sure what you mean over there, but so let me tell you, a segmentation fault will occur when your program is trying to write into a memory region where it is not allowed to, right? So if it is trying to read or write from a location which it is beyond its scope, let's say you define an array and you're trying to write something which is outside of that array, it's going to create a segmentation fault, right? Because it's trying to write to a location which is either used by a different program or a different variable is allotted over there. So you don't want those things to be happening. Imagine it would be such a big security vulnerability. And in fact, most security vulnerabilities are because someone is trying to write to a location or reading from a location which is it is not allowed to. So when you see your Windows operating system, when it fails and it says, oh sorry, error, no, it just goes there and no, it gives you an error saying that uh, we apologize for the trouble. So what are they apologizing for every time? They are trying to apologize because some of their expert coder or their programmer was trying to write to a memory location which it was not allowed to. No, that's the error that you see on Windows all the time. Is no, we apologize, and that's what they are apologizing for. It's the segmentation fault. Okay, so uh, on all these stages, no, uh, your programming interviewer is gonna focus mostly on the first two stages. Is how can you take a problem that I gave you and convert it to an algorithm, or what algorithm are you going to select and what data structure are you going to use. So those two are the primary questions that your interviewer wants to know. Is do you have that skill to take a problem and convert it to a algorithm and use an efficient data structure as well, right? uh, and the only problem over here is this is an ideal world. Okay, so in ideal world it should be as simple as from going from 1 2 3 and 4 and everything is good, but that's not how the real world is. The real world looks more like this. The real world is going to look like this. A problem is a huge undefined space, right? Even this, I'm doing an injustice to it by showing it only this huge. It was, if you think of it in real terms, it's going to be even bigger, and it's going to be undefined, right? It's not a closed space as well. I'm doing a big injustice over here to showing a problem as a closed space over there. Problem is an undefined space, and most people fail to convert the problem to algorithm itself. uh, Not only in your interview, just I'm not just talking about the interview questions, but in real life as well. uh, this problem is undefined. The users don't know what they want. The requirements are going to change every day, and that's where the software engineer or no business analyst or no requirements manager comes in, and they try to take the problem and make it something that a programmer is they are able to understand or no they can deal with. So this is what the real world looks like, and the problem is a huge space. Converting it to the algorithm is the first step, and you're not just talking about algorithms, but it's also the data structures behind it. Okay, so let's talk about time complexity analysis. What do you guys know about time complexity analysis, or when do we use it? Why do we need to make sure that we are considering time complexity analysis? We are doing time complexity analysis on our algorithms. So is it just how long it runs? But if I get a faster CPU or a GPU, then the program runtime will reduce, right? So will the big O notations change on different platforms? So let's say I write a program on a Windows machine, right? It's a desktop computer. I write an bubble sort algorithm, and I get the big O complexity of, what is the time complexity for the bubble sort algorithm? So Raghu thinks it's n square. So Raghu, my question to you will be, will this complexity will change from one system to another? If I use a faster GPU, right, which is gonna operate at several teraflops a second, but in your first answer you said that no, how long a program runs. So that time is gonna reduce, but the time complexity doesn't change. So whenever we talk about time complexity, we talk in terms of n, which is the number of elements that now we are trying to deal with, right? Um, so the number of elements over there, we are talking in terms of, what we are trying to estimate is how one program or an algorithm compares with other, right? So irrespective of the platform they run on. So a bubble sort algorithm, irrespective of the platform it's running on, is, we are saying that on worst case it has a time complexity of n square, which is, n is the number of elements. If you're trying to sort an array, is the number of elements, and it's gonna have the time complexity in, in that range. So it's important for you to make sure that you know the time complexity of all the, go online, find a cheat sheet for time complexity for, all the sorting algorithms, all the, common operations which are done on data structures. You will get a cheat sheet over there. If I get time, I'll put that along with the homework assignment as well, so that what are the time complexity. Make sure that you have those. Uh, I hate to tell that, but uh, I want to make sure that you remember it, because it's not gonna be. You won't be able to recollect it if you don't remember it. You don't have that much of time to just calculate or think everything in your mind at that point. So try to remember it, and whatever is possible. You won't be able to remember the entire chart, but for few simple ones, for example, bubble sort, even at 3 a.m. if I wake you up, you should be able to tell me that the time complexity of bubble sort is n square. Like, no, most basic thing. If you can't, if you don't know that, go back, time complexity analysis, revise it properly. It's going to be important on your programming interviews. So question for you guys: what is the time complexity of the program that you see on your screen? So I have seen only one answer from Raghu over here, who thinks it's n square. What does everyone else think? So by just looking at it, you should be able to tell that. So I'm gonna wait a few more seconds and then just tell you. Yep. So over here we see two nested loops, one inside the other. We need to make sure that, are these both loops are going to execute or not. But over here we don't have the, no, we don't have what n is over here, but we essentially see that the first loop is going forward, the next loop is going to execute in reverse, but both of these loops are executing. What operation happens over here, it doesn't really matter. So the time complexity of this one is n square. Okay, next one. So I see two answers over there, and both of you are saying that it's in order of n or m. But again, over here we have two for loops. So does that matter? All right. So the correct answer for this one was also, both of you were close, or no, you got it right. It's gonna be either one which is bigger over there, n or m. So in terms of the order, you both were right. So whatever is the option on that question, based on that, you can select no, one of those. So let me just quickly tell about arrays. Let's go over quickly on arrays. So for an array data structure, a unique thing about them is, we have all the elements of the same type in an array. Can someone tell me why do we do that? Why can't we have I mean, if you want, you could have in an implementation on a Python, where you have a list, which is a different data type itself. But on, let's say we're talking about C, C++, your arrays are going to have elements of the same type, right? And that was another question on our warm-up exercise as well. So why do you think it is necessary to have all the elements of the same type for an array? Why do we do that? So my question to you is, we said that arrays have, the same elements. Why do you think do we have that? So Raghu, that's not really true as well, always. In many cases, you will see that, your compiler or your operating system, even though we have been told that no, it's a continuous chunk of memory in a lot of times in our school, or no, in our colleges when we learn, I have seen a lot of cases when the compiler tries to optimize this allocation, and it will try to put those things in separate blocks as well. So the thing with arrays is, now, if you have the same data type, you know that now how many blocks that you need to skip to get to the next block, right? So if you know that, it becomes very easy to move or traverse through that array for for your compiler when it's trying to convert that to an assembly language. And there are no special cases when it might not be able to allocate it in a continuous chunk, and that might be an optimization that a compiler does or an operating system does. But I just want to make sure I tell you that it is not always true. Okay. So basic operations for an array are insert, get, delete, or no, to get a size of an array as well. uh, these are the basic operations which are supported. I don't want to really go much into it. You should know what I'm talking about over here. Here are some commonly asked interview questions when you talk about an array. It could be something like reverse a string. And why do you think that I have a string over there in an array over there, right? So I'm saying that commonly asked interview questions for an array, and the first bullet that I have is reverse a string. But is string an array? So my question to you guys is, yeah, so Rani got that right. String is, especially, not only it can be represented, but it is array of characters. It's just your C compiler trying to fool you in saying that it's something else. But it is the way you declare the string is as well. You just say char array, right? In most programming languages. Uh, I mean, if you go to a higher level programming language like Python, you then it's a different thing. We're talking about two different things as well. But in general, when we talk about C, C++, a string is a char array, right? So common interview questions over there. The one question that I want you guys to practice right now is the first one, which is reverse a string. So try and do it on your on your computer, but don't use a text editor. So I want you guys to have a feel on how it would be if you're trying to do it on paper, or if you're trying to do it where you don't have syntax highlighting, right? So try to do it in a text editor which doesn't have syntax highlighting on it. Try to write a simple program to reverse a string. So the reason why I have we are gonna do this in class is because if your programming interviewer asks you to do this and you're not able to do that, my friend, there are very less chances of you going ahead on any interview round besides this, right? uh, it's very simple one, but yet a lot of students fail to write a single line of code to even reverse a string. So if you had uh, if you have if you just memorized it when you were doing your undergrad, you won't be able to. But if you are good at it and you really understood it, then you'll be able to do this. So I'm going to wait over here for next 10-15 minutes, not 15 but at least 10 minutes, to let everyone complete know this exercise. Once you are done, please let me know in the chat box that you were able to complete it. Try to do it by yourself. Don't try to look up online, because the whole point in doing it is try to emulate the situation which you will be in your coding interview or programming interview as well. Okay, I'm gonna wait over here for next 10-15 minutes. Okay, not 15 but at least 10 minutes. I will I'll start talking back. It is in 10 minutes from now. Hey Soumya, if you have any questions, please go ahead and put it on the chat over there. So I was also hoping that some of you would ask me, and this is an important thing to do in your programming interview, is to not assume a lot of things. As soon as someone gives you a problem, don't start jump in and start solving the problem. Okay. So few of the questions could have been is do you want to replace or no the reverse the characters in place, or do you want to do it on an other string, right? So those two are two different problems. If someone is expecting you to solve it in place and in the same string, that's a different problem. So make sure that you ask those things to the interviewer when they are asking you to write these programs. And let me know how you are coming along, so that if there are any things that I can help on, I can suggest you something. If you think you are fine and you're going to be able to do it, also let me know in that thing in the chat as well. All right, so we are past 10 minutes. So I'm going to wait 2 more minutes just in case someone wants to finish something that they're trying out. If not, please let me know in the chat box if it is fine for me to go ahead. Okay. And I'll show you, how I would go about writing the program in just a few minutes. But if you're trying to write, let me know that you want me to wait. If you're done, or if it is fine, you think that we can go ahead, please let me know in the chat box as well. So how's everyone else doing? I think Naren is good over there. How about Ranit, Rudra, Soumya, Gayatri? How are you guys doing? All right, so let me just show you how I would go about doing it. So, and again, you could pick the language of your choice. I'm writing this in C, but feel free to pick a language of your choice. And I mean, you need to ask your interviewer if they need a specific language, but if not, it's fine if you write that in C or C++. Okay. So I just allotted uh, two strings over here, and I was not replacing them in place. I'm using another extra string for reversing the string. Uh, Also, you want to make sure that the last character in a string for a C string is always going to be a /0. So to get to the length of the string, what we're going to do is just create a while loop and go until the end, find the /0 character, which is going to be the last character of any string in C. And once you reach there, you want to make sure that so you have in the count, we have the length of that string. So you add a for loop, you start from 0, and you say go on until begin is less than the length of the string, and you say begin plus plus. And all we are doing over here is just swapping these two strings over here, right? So we are saying the R begin starts from the end, S end, right? And you decrement S because we're going to go one step from behind. And you do that again. The last character you place at /0 because your C program is not going to recognize that thing as a string if it doesn't have a /0 at the end. Okay, it's going to be just junk characters for the C program if you don't add a /0 to the end of every string. Okay, so pretty straightforward. Make sure that you understand it. In all our other workshops, we try to do it hands-on, but I knew that we were not going to have enough time on this workshop for me to write all the programs by myself. So what I did was created these snippets for you to look at. Once we are done, I'm going to also send these code to you. So don't worry about that. But the whole point was to get you engaged and have you try these programs so that when you try to do it on the actual interview, you are not you are not stuck over there. Okay, so we don't have a lot of time, but what we're going to do is quickly go over. I'm going to skip two of these slides because I want to make sure I get towards the end, which is the homework question that I have for you guys. Make sure that you submit this to hello@codeheroku.com, which is our email ID. I want you to write a C program to check for balanced parentheses. Okay, and what are the most common data structure that is going to be useful for us to help us solve it is the stack data structure, and use a stack to solve this, right? And tell me how you would go about doing it. Try to write it on a text editor which doesn't have the text highlighting enabled on it. So syntax highlighting, you don't want that because a lot of times you will have to write it on a whiteboard in front of the interviewer. So make sure you are able to do it without syntax highlighting as well. Okay, so this is what I want you to do as part of the homework assignment for tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going to go over let me just quickly go over the first slide if I can. So tomorrow we are going to go over the first few on the top over here. We're going to write some more code, and we're going to do some coding puzzles, and we're going to do the behavioral cultural fit and how do you go about asking questions in your interview. Okay, so that's what the plan for tomorrow is to go over these things which we have not covered today and try to do some applied concepts and go over some common tips and tricks. We might not need an entire 2 hours tomorrow, but we'll try to keep it short, but something which is useful to you. So that's the plan for tomorrow. And again, my expectation from you guys before coming to tomorrow's class is try to write this program, which is implement for checking the balanced parentheses in C, and send it to me at hello@codeheroku.com. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about when I'm saying balance parentheses, I mean, so here there are two curly brackets, so the output should be 0. If uh, so it's the program passes without any error, so the output is 0 in that case. Over here, you see that no, there was a curly bracket which was started, but it is closed by a round bracket, so it's not a balance parentheses. So the output would be 1 in this case, which means that there is some error. Okay, so send this to me at hello@codeheroku.com, which is our email ID, and I'll be able to give you some feedback on it as well. Okay. I don't know if I want to go into object oriented programming. We don't have that much of time today left. But the thing that I wanted to point out was, the multiple inheritance problem in Java. Uh, so this is a very common interview question which is asked, and when you have classes which are inheriting from multiple classes, so this is a diamond shape problem, or no uh, problem, the diamond problem, which a lot of us might know of, but make sure you revise this concept when it's a common interview question. Make sure you know that when you go into a programming interview on. And again, this is just one example, but what I'm trying to tell you is there are going to be these concepts which, unless you know about it or unless you have studied them, you won't be able to answer them. So there are some things that you might be able to get on the interview day itself. You could figure it out, but there are some things which you might not be able to figure out. So make sure you read about those things in depth. Okay, so here's the last part, which is the rapid fire. It's not going to take more than few seconds, I guess. So I want you guys to quickly answer on the chat box. I'll quickly go through the slides, and I want you to answer on the chat box, and let's see who wins. Whoever gets the first answer most of the times, he or she are gonna win, but I'm not gonna give any prizes as such. The prize is gonna be if you are able to pass the coding interview or the programming interview and land in a dream job. That's gonna be your prize. Okay, so let's do it as a fun exercise. Let's go. Okay, make sure, so is everyone with me? So before I go to the next slide, I want yeses from you guys. Can I get some comments on the chat saying that, are you guys ready? All right, so Ranit says yes. Who else is there with me? All right, Gayatri, Naren. Okay, so everyone is there, ready? Okay, all right, go. What's the difference between class and an object? Come on, guys, it's the first one. It's a rapid fire. You need to be quick. Even if someone wakes you up at 3 a.m., you should be able to tell them that an object is nothing but an instantiation of a class. Okay, right. So two people got that right over there. Object is an instance of class, instantiation of a class. Okay. Two types of programming languages: compiled languages and Running got that right, interpreted language. Okay. A stack functions as a last in. Ranit is on fire over there. He's getting all of those right. Last in, first out, right? Okay, last two. Python is a compiled language, true or false? This is a simple one. Yep, all of you got that right. That is a false statement. Last one, time complexity of a bubble sort. Yep, n square. We already discussed that in class as well. You guys should remember that. Okay, it's n square. And one bonus one, time complexity for binary search. . Ranit says log in, and assuming that he is on fire today, we'll give it to him. It's log in. Okay. So Ranit got most of them right, and I think he will do well on the programming interview. All of you will also do well. Just make sure you practice and remember a few things which are needed. Some of things you might be able to get it, but some things you have to remember. Okay. So if you like know what we are doing, uh, I wasn't able to introduce a lot about Code Heroku and what we do. This workshop is pretty much an outlier to what we generally do. We do a lot of hands-on programming exercises. It's more about building web apps. It's building Python, building ML, and building AI. Those are the kind of workshops that we do. But this was something that one of our students had asked for in terms of can you help us do go over some interview preparation tips and some exercises. So that's why I thought doing it this weekend. But go and look on our YouTube page. I'm gonna give you a link to our YouTube channel if you want to see what are the other things that we do. So go to youtube.com, search for Code Heroku. We'll see all our. I'm gonna quickly paste the link to our channel over here. So I hope you liked what you saw today, and I'm gonna paste it to everyone over here. So let me know what you guys think. If there were any feedback items for us, please let me know. I'm gonna give you my WhatsApp number as well. So in case you want to reach out to me directly, so you can just message me on WhatsApp. If there are any things that I missed out today, if you didn't like something, please let me know that as well. Okay, so if you go on our website, here's our WhatsApp number. Right, I'm gonna paste that over here. Message me, call me, whatever you feel comfortable. I might not be able to pick your phone always because I'm in a different time zone right now. But I hope the workshop that we did today was helpful to you. Thanks again for attending. I'll see you tomorrow at same time on the same link as well. So, and you will get the recorded version of this workshop in an email in few hours. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll be staying over here for next few minutes. I know we had to wrap up early because I didn't want to start a new topic. We don't have enough time to. We didn't